Continuing to episode 8, Yoro and Jaga banged on Sid's room door to invite him out. They said it was the perfect day to tease the girls. As they casually entered Sid's unlocked room, there was no one inside. Then, they accidentally spotted some tickets in Sid's room. More precisely, special grand opening tickets for Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. These tickets were extremely rare. Even upper-class nobles had difficulty obtaining them. They couldn't fathom why Sid had them. Finally, the two of them came up with a cunning idea. If they showed the tickets to the girls, the success rate of teasing would increase drastically. Yoro also thought of showing them to the celebrity sisters from Mitsugoshi. Conveniently, there were 6 tickets. Yoro and Jaga decided to give 3 tickets to the girls, one each for themselves, and for the last ticket, they were a bit confused about who to give it to. After stealing the tickets from Sid's room, Yoro and Jaga went straight to one of Mitsugoshi's stores and tried to tease a girl working there. When she found out that there were 2 noisy guys with special Mitsugoshi Onsen Land tickets, New immediately took them to the office and interrogated them sternly. Panicking, Yoro and Jaga tried to lie by saying that they received the tickets from Sid. Also, Sid instructed them to use the tickets for dates with the Mitsugoshi girls. Because New didn't believe their words, she wanted to make sure if the Sid mentioned was Sid Kajino. Yoro and Jaga confirmed this. They claimed to be Sid's true friends. New couldn't believe that the tickets given by Shadow Garden to Sid ended up in the hands of his classmates. In this situation, she wanted to discuss it with the 7 Shadows. Before that, New wanted to make sure with Hedoro and Jaga if Sid would also participate in the date. Once again, they both lied, saying that Sid would join. New started overthinking, suspecting the possibility of a secret code from Shadow's actions. After that, New reported the information to the 7 Shadows. Alpha also thought that there was a specific purpose in inviting Shadow Garden members to Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. By the way, there were still some who didn't know what Mitsugoshi Onsen Land was. Alpha allowed Ada to explain. Mitsugoshi Onsen Land is a relaxation facility scheduled to open this week. Its design is inspired by dragon tears. They recalled that Shadow had talked about dragon tears before. At that time, Shadow and the 7 Shadows were dealing with a gang of criminals. One of the dying criminals insisted on not handing over dragon tears. At that moment, Sid had no idea and no interest in dragon tears. However, when the criminal said that dragon tears were golden objects, Sid immediately became interested, thinking it was a gold coin. Therefore, he instructed Shadow Garden members to dig around the area to find dragon tears. After continuous digging, Ida found a hot spring source there. From that water source, Alpha decided to turn it into Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. So she doubted that Shadow invited them to a date there without reason. The problem was, there were only 6 available tickets. 1 for Shadow himself and 2 for his classmates. It means only 3 tickets left for the Shadow Garden members. At that moment, New suggested herself because she was invited directly by Sid's classmate. However, she was immediately bombarded with weapons by Alpha. She said this mission wouldn't succeed unless done by the 7 Shadows. And of course, the 7 of them debated with each other because they all wanted to date with Shadow. As a final method, they eventually decided by using a suit. The next day, Yoro and Jaga met with Delta, Zeta, and Beta. The 3 of them informed that New couldn't join due to sudden business. While Delta was pacing around, Zeta and Beta looked gloomy because Sid wasn't there. They firmly asserted that one more person should be present. As usual, Yoro and Jaga lied again. They said Sid would arrive late. Somehow, Zeta and Beta believed it. By the way, before Yoro and Jaga went on a date, they had already bought a book by the Prince of Bachelors titled The Best Love Guide in the World Edition. Although officially selected for the date were Delta, Zeta, and Beta, it turned out all 7 Shadows also went to Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. After they all changed into swimsuits, Yoro and Jaga played water volleyball with Delta and Zeta in the pool. While playing, Delta accidentally threw the ball hard at her own team Zeta. Zeta blocked it and directed it toward Yoro until he mentally withdrew. Seeing Delta and Zeta arguing, Gamma felt that she should have been chosen for the date. However, Alpha replied that the atmosphere wasn't bad either. Alpha hadn't seen Shadow Garden members play like this for a long time. Besides, Delta and Zeta seemed to be having fun. Besides the 7 Shadows, New also took leave to go to Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. Nevertheless, Epsilon still worried about Shadow's secret mission. After some thought, Alpha suspected that this might be Shadow's intention. However, Alpha emphasized that it was just his speculation. After that, Ada felt an unusual magical energy from underground. They went to the hot spring bathing area. Meanwhile, Yoro and Jaga were still in the pool and didn't know why the girls left them. Actually, they also wanted to join, but it turned out Mitsugoshi Onsen Land did not implement mixed bathing. Yoro was already suspicious that the girls were trying to escape from them. However, Jaga disagreed with that. According to the Prince of Bachelor's book you read, the reason girls leave the group during a date is because they want to discuss to ensure their targeted man is not taken. Jaga also mentioned that there is something that must be done when men and women's baths are separated. At the hot spring, the Seven Shadows felt a bit guilty for just relaxing here. Nevertheless, they also didn't deny that the hot spring was very enjoyable. However, they still tried to think about their master's secret plan. Clearly, it was likely related to dragon tears. The legend goes that in ancient times, there was a kind-hearted princess. One day, the princess rescued a little dragon separated from its group. The dragon and the princess quickly became friends and grew up together. However, those peaceful days eventually came to an end. War broke out. To protect the princess, the dragon fought against the enemy. Despite being severely injured, the dragon drove away tens of thousands of soldiers. However, when the dragon returned, the kingdom where the princess lived had been destroyed. The dragon found the lifeless body of the princess. The dragon begged the princess to open her eyes and fly together again. At that moment, the princess, who was supposed to be gone, shed tears. The dragon also cried as if unable to contain its sorrow. The dragon's hot tears then rained down and swallowed the entire kingdom. The princess was revived. When she opened her eyes, she saw a mysterious hot spring that could heal life. However, the figure of the dragon was nowhere to be found. In this story, the Seven Shadows suspected that there was something Shadow wanted. On the other hand, Yoro and Jaga tried to peek at the women's special bath by climbing a wooden partition. However, it seemed that Ida had already noticed and pressed a button to release tear gas traps. Surprisingly, when the tears of Yoro and Jaga fell into the hot spring, the water seemed to glow. Aya immediately realized that the tears and the hot spring were reacting. However, the reaction was very small and did not increase. Zita mentioned that the legend talked about the tears of the princess. Suddenly, Ida looked at Beta, who often claimed to be a beautiful elf princess. With that, she immediately forced Beta to shed tears by a brutal method. It seemed like Ida did this out of jealousy for Beta's body. Ada mocked Beta that all her nutrients went to her chest. When Beta's tears fell into the hot spring, the reaction could be felt by all Shadow Garden members present at Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. This reaction also created a water dragon figure in the pool area. Alpha suspected that this might be what Shadow wanted to convey. Clearly, they had to defeat the water dragon quickly so that the facility damage wouldn't become fatal. After that, the Seven Shadows changed into different combat suits than usual. Instead of being all black, they were now red and white. Eta made it so that their identity as Shadow Garden wouldn't be known. With the combined attacks of the seven of them, the water dragon was successfully defeated. The defeat of the dragon was followed by the appearance of golden tears falling from the sky. They remembered that this was what Shadow wanted. Alpha was sure that Shadow wanted to save the soul of the grieving dragon. Because the golden tears fell into the spring here, Ida detected that the spring now had a mixture of magical energy properties. Gamma immediately thought of turning it into a product for sale. Fortunately, its properties were for beauty and skin health. Then, the members of Shadow Garden continued with their activities at Mitsugoshi Onsen Land. Looking at today's events, Alpha was very grateful to Shadow for the holiday he provided.